Welcome to Sinful's Horror Stories. Tonight's video features stories from the deep web. I know most of you believe all of these to be false, but who knows what's really true and what is false. I want you guys to remember, sit back, relax, and stay sinful. Story number 1. My name is Kyle. I'm 24 years old. And this story happened to me only recently. One night I spent around 45 minutes to an hour tossing and turning in bed trying to get sleep. I eventually gave up and got up to go to the living room. I laid down on the couch and started flicking through television channels. Eventually I stumbled across a documentary about the dark web. After 10 minutes of watching it, I went from laid down on the couch feeling groggy and tired just sat up and hooked on the documentary. From that point for the next week or so, I spent a lot of time looking up things on the dark web, watching videos on YouTube about it, reading articles online, and if I can watch TV shows about it. Eventually I wanted to visit the dark web myself. I have a friend who is a computer wizard, and I know he has visited the dark web at least a few times. So one night I asked him to come around and help me get it set up. He installed the Tor browser in my computer. Told me how to access the dark web and what sites to avoid. Every day for almost a week I went on the dark web and explored all the dark and gritty parts of the internet. The one thing I never did on the dark web, however, was interact with anything. What I mean by this is, I never bought anything. I never messaged anyone or anything like that. I only observed. One thing my friend told me was, always turn your webcam away or cover it with something, which I always did. I live across the country for my work, so I often use a webcam to Skype with family and friends. One night I finished Skyping with my parents, then went on the dark web. I was visiting a website that sold weapons such as knives, guns, explosives, and other things, along with hard drugs. I was scrolling down the site just seeing what was being sold when I heard something. I couldn't make out what it was at first. It sounded like a voice saying something. I stopped what I was doing to listen more closely, and then I heard in a distorted, deep voice say, "I can see you." I instantly looked at my webcam and realized I forgot to turn it off and turn it away. I turned off my webcam and went to close down the site I was looking at, but my mouse froze. I couldn't move it. I started pressing buttons on my keyboard, but my computer wasn't responding to any of it. The voice then said, "Let's see what you're looking at." Then the site started scrolling down and clicking on items on the site. Whoever this guy was now controlling my computer remotely. I still didn't say anything. I was too afraid, thinking the guy would hear me. The man then said, "You know what? I will buy these items for you, my friend." He then started clicking and purchasing things like guns and drugs of all sorts. At that point I shouted, "Please stop. I don't want anything." The man replied, "Are you sure?" while letting out a sinister laugh. I then replied saying, "No, I want nothing at all. Please leave me alone." My computer then went black. It didn't seem switched off. Just the screen went dark. A message popped up saying, "Your items will be delivered soon. Thank you for your purchase." Then my computer turned off. I started to panic. Eventually I calmed myself down, thinking it was probably just someone messing with me. Still, I was worried and was very nervous going back online. After about 2 days, I eventually went on my computer, and everything as far as I knew it was fine. I even got my friend to check it out to make sure it was okay. He said it was probably just a hacker playing a joke of some kind. The next day I get home from work and I found my front door to my apartment was slightly ajar. I nervously opened it thinking I had been broken into. The only thing I noticed, however, was a parcel sitting on my computer desk. I instantly knew what it was. What could have been in that box was racing through my mind. A gun, a bomb, a human head. I sat there for ages thinking about what I should do. I thought about calling the police, but at that same time, I didn't want to. The sites I was accessing weren't exactly legal, and whatever could be in that box certainly wasn't legal either. I eventually took up the courage to look what was in that parcel. Surprisingly, the box was empty, except a note sitting at the bottom. All it read was, "You said you wanted nothing." My heart sank in my stomach, yet somehow I felt relief. This was over a month ago. I haven't been on the dark web since, and I haven't received any new packages. Story number 2. My name is Hamad. I'm 17 years old and I live in a small town in Egypt. Over the past year, I have recently been visiting the dark web. As most people do on the dark web, I went from site to site looking at what humanity has to offer and how sick and twisted we as humans can be. I clicked on a link that led to this website. It was a live stream that would last for hours, and what would happen was someone would get kidnapped and put in a van, then transported to some kind of warehouse where an auction would take place. The victim would get sold and then transported to another sort of warehouse where the victim would then get tortured. This all happened on one long live stream. The thing was, before you joined the live stream, you had to put in a name and pay a fee on a credit card. I then did something very selfish. I used my friend's name and his credit card. My friend had spent the night around my house a few nights prior to me watching the live stream and forgotten his wallet. I only did this once, and I know it was selfish. I was too much of a coward to use my own information. However, I received an email about a week later from an unknown sender saying I have to return and stay subscribed to the live stream. I ignored it and carried on with my life. I continued looking on the dark web, only avoiding that particular site. I received 3 more emails over the following week. The first 2 said the same thing, that I needed to return to the stream. The third one, however, said, "Your subscription has expired." At first I didn't know what to make of it, but I eventually thought maybe they had given up harassing me. About 2 days later, I was going to visit my friend, the same one who I used to pay the live stream. I was on my way to his house. We were going to meet there as he would be coming from a part-time job he worked at. I sent him a text saying, "I'm outside your house." He texted me back saying something unusual. He said just go inside his house and wait for him, as he thinks he's being followed. I was concerned but still did what he said. I went inside his house, sat down and looked outside the window. I anxiously waited and watched, hoping my friend would turn up soon. The only thing I heard was tires screeching on the road, and then a black van sped off past the house. At that point, I felt like my soul sunk through my body, and I felt sick with guilt. I instantly knew what had just happened, and what that van was. My friend had been kidnapped. From the details I used from his credit card, they must have tracked him down and took him. My friend has been missing ever since, and I'm too afraid to tell anyone, and I'm even more afraid to go back on the dark web. If I do, I know I will see my friend being sold and tortured. Story number 3. My name is Nathan. This story happened in January of 2015 when I was 16 years old. I used to live in a flat in a very rough part of London. It was just me, my mom, and my younger brother Henry, who was 11 years old at the time of this story. My mom was a single mom and had to work 2 jobs, so me and my brother never got to see our mom very often. She would work early in the morning and come home very late at night, around 11 p.m., sometimes even later. I had to stay home to look after Henry and cook dinner, whilst Mom was working. I didn't have a phone at the time as we couldn't afford it. I did, however, have my own laptop, which I used to spend a lot of time on. I would watch YouTube, check Facebook, and visit the dark web. I didn't go on the dark web often, but when I did, it was only to look around a little bit, and usually I would come across the same similar sites over and over again. However, one day I came across this site on the dark web. It was like a drug selling site, and there was a little box in the corner of the screen which said, "Enter location." Out of curiosity, I put the area of where we lived, and surprisingly 2 users came up. After that message popped up saying interested in dealing, I didn't reply and was about to close the site down when he posted a picture of what looked to be a brand new PlayStation 4. Also, he said he would throw in 100 pounds. At this point, he had my undivided attention. As I said, it was just my mom, brother, and myself. We just had enough to pay rent and eat. We had an old Xbox 360, which barely worked, so we hardly played it. The picture the man sent looked like it was taken in a room and looked legit, not some well-put-together picture grabbed off the internet. I didn't fully agree to deal yet, but I thought I would just message back. I said, "Okay, what do I need to do?" The man quickly replied saying, "Pick up a bag at a certain location at a certain time. Drop it off at another location. After the deal was done, he would give me the PlayStation." I asked why he wouldn't just deliver it himself and what's in it for him. He replied saying he would get a big payday for this delivery, but he can't go himself because he was wanted by gang members or something of that nature. Eventually, I agreed to do the deal. We set a date to meet at a point where he would hand me the bag of what I assumed to be hard drugs of some kind. I know it sounds really naive to do this, and there was obvious red flags, but I thought to myself, what have I got to lose? Worst thing, the guy shows up with nothing and I waste my time, or I could actually get a new console and some money, which me and my brother would definitely appreciate. I said this to myself, I would only do this once. So 2 days later, around 9 p.m., when it was dark, I met up with a guy from the site who called himself Trip. I left my brother alone in the flat as I didn't think I would be gone for long. I arrived at the meeting point, which was located in a back alley. I stood there anxiously waiting, not knowing what to expect. Finally, after coming 10 minutes late, Trip arrived. He wasn't what I expected. He was a guy in his early 20s, had long unkempt hair, red baggy eyes, and a dirty old hoodie and dirty jeans. He didn't say anything. He just walked over scratching his arm. I said, "Are you Trip?" He nodded his head yes. There was an awkward pause until I said, "Do you have the bag?" He finally spoke and said, "Yeah. The bag and the PlayStation is in the car this way." I walked around the corner towards the car. It was some old banged up car with the trunk open. Said the stuff was in there. I was freezing and just wanted this to be done quickly. I walked over to the trunk and saw it was empty. I said, "There's nothing here." I went to look at Trip, but he was gone. I looked around and I couldn't see him. I was about to leave when the next thing I knew, 2 hooded men with masks came out from the alley holding knives. I started backing away when the 2 men started charging me. I turned around and ran as fast as I could towards my flat block. I burst into the door on the lower floor, started running upstairs as fast as my legs would carry me. It only occurred to me as I was running that I'm leading the 2 men straight towards where I live. The lifts in the building weren't working, so the only thing I could do was just keep running up to the top. I bursted through the fire escape, and as I was on the roof of my building, I ran towards a second fire escape that was on the other side of the roof, and I hid. I sat there with my heart in my throat. I was trying to hold my breath and not make noise. I was so scared the two men were going to find me. The two men did not follow me through the fire escape. At this point, I honestly thought I was going to die. By some miracle, I heard one of them saying something along the lines that I wasn't up here and I wouldn't have ran this far. The two men turned away and ran back down the stairs. I assumed to keep searching for me. I don't know how long it was until I finally made the move to go back downstairs, but eventually I had no choice. Thought I was going to freeze to death. I slowly made my way downstairs, and eventually to the floor my flat was on, and I headed inside. I needed to be strong and hide the fact I was scared from Harry. I never told anyone this story until now. We moved away 2 years after this story took place, and every day until then I feared those men would find where I lived and harm me and my family. That was the last time I ever went on the dark web. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos. I hope everyone had a nice and sinful week. Be sure to email your true scary stories to thesinfulsavant@gmail.com. I'll leave my email in the description box below as well. Till we meet again, my friends, stay sinful.